Hi guys, what are we gonna do today? Today we have plenty of time because Christmas isn't here yet, but I'm doing an advent with different numbers and this fun little boot with the tree in it and a little bit of texture around the outside. We are making this little tag that you could attach to a bag, to an envelope, or just use it as a card. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm gonna need is what I am gonna work on, and I have these cute little craft cards. So you could cut it in half if you wanna make this a tag. These are 3.5 by 5, or you could make a cute little card. Since I am gonna be doing an advent, I think I am gonna cut this, so now I have 2 pieces. So the next thing, my stencil. I have cut this one out. It's a tree and a boot. I just personally cut this out, but I'm gonna have them available on a small stencil, both pieces, if you're interested, or you can just cut your own out. What I wanna do first is stencil my boot onto this card. And I'm gonna use old school. This is DIY paint. Just use whatever color you want for your boot. I just thought I wanted to go with the dark color. Now I'm using a stencil brush. I'm getting my brush wet. Then I'm going to tap off to get more of a dry brush look. And just an up and down pouncing motion, just like that. So I'm gonna let this dry, and then I am going to put my tree on top of here, and I'm gonna use 2 colors of green. So this is dry, so I am gonna do my tree, and I'm gonna do 2 colors. I'm gonna use my lighter color first, and then I'm gonna do my darker color on top. The first color I'm using is called Farm Fresh, and it's another DIY paint, but you should use whatever colors you have. And once again, using a dry brush and just pouncing up and down. So now I am using a little more of a mossy, this is called Gypsy Green. Now, as this paint dries, it gets very, very light, but when I seal it, it'll get very vibrant again. So we're gonna let this dry very quickly, and then we're going to do our outside embellishing. I kind of just cut this out with this fun texture that I'm just gonna put around the outside edges of this just to give it a little bit more interest. The color I am using is White Swan, but you can use any color or not even do this at all. What I'm gonna do next is very lightly just kind of go in and do a little bit of a white dry brush on the tree and the boot. Okay, so I'm gonna let this dry, then we're gonna add some other fun stuff. So I'm just gonna use this to cut out my 2 tags, my 2 circles here. If you aren't gonna put numbers on them, you don't even need to do that. And one side is black and one side is white, so that works perfectly. So this large circle is 1.5 inch, and I believe this is 1 inch. So I am going to use the white, and then I'm going to use a small black right on top of that. And then I'm also gonna put a little saying. But once again, this could be so individualized, however you wanna do it, and whatever you would like to add. I'm just gonna tap the edges here very lightly on my black ink. And you can see there's a little bit of black edges there. I'm just gonna glue stick this small circle to this big circle. And then once again, I'm just gonna roll this in here very lightly just to get my edges dark so it stands out against this. And then this is going to get taped down also. But first I think I'm gonna add a little more stamping to this before we attach those. I decided I wanted just a little bit of crackle on this boot, so I needed to do it in white. So I'm just gonna put a teeny bit here. I don't want it really, really dark. Let's tap off a little. So if you're worried about getting it anywhere, since this is dry, put the stencil back down, and then you can just tap a little. So I'm just gonna use a brown ink to do crackle on the rest. I want it to be subtle. This will seem very subtle. Now I'm using my Stress Oxide Vintage Photo, my favorite color. I really do use other colors. Now I am gonna add my 2 pieces on here. And I'm just gonna use a glue stick. You could use double stick tape or whatever you would like, your favorite way of adhering paper together. See, if you really wanted to add, you could add more in here, more embellishing anywhere you would like. Next thing, we are gonna put our number on here. We just did number 1, so I think this guy is gonna be number 2. And I am gonna use my white ink for that. So we'll let this dry and we're gonna seal it. So I'm using my liquid Pantina. This is from DIY also, but you can use any type of a sealer you would like. I happen to be out of my brush on gloss, so I am using this, and if I want gloss, I'll just spray a gloss coat over the top. Now this will reactivate your distressing ink. So you can see it'll make it just a little bit more aged. Okay, so we're gonna just let this dry. I'm just going to use a spray sealer over the top. Really, I really do like my Minwax. It's a gloss polyacrylic, but I'm out of it, so I'm using what I've got. So we will let this dry, and then we'll add some raffia and tie it onto a fun little package. I just have this little bag, and I am just going to tie this around. But you guys could fill this up full of so many fun little things. Now we have 2. Okay. So wasn't that fun and so cute? And if you were doing them all at once, it really wouldn't take as long as you'd think. And if you had a bunch of trees, even on a mantle or on somewhere, it could be cute because you could just hide them in there and you'd have to search for each one each day. The stencil we used, we will have available very shortly on our shop page. But you can even make your own stencil or do any design you would like. Well, I hope you give us a try, but whatever you do, have fun.